Alright folks, today we're going to be talking about the Emil 1, Tier 8 European auto-loading heavy tank. You can see on the screen we're comparing it to the other auto-loading tanks of the tier. Auto-reloaders are not included for obvious reasons. If we look at the stats, the DPM is on par or better than most of them. Penetration is about average. With a single shell reload time of 3 seconds, it is on par with most of the other autoloaders at the tier. This tank does shine with its aim time of 1.86 seconds. Dispersion of 0.31 is very good. 10 degrees of gun depression make it very strong in hold-down situations. With a forward speed of 35 kilometers per hour, it makes it among the worst of the class in terms of forward speed. However, you must recall that it comes with the improved engine power boost, which increases that by 8 kilometers per hour to make it on par with the other ones. Power to weight ratio is also lacking. However, again, you must recall the improved speed boost. Jumping over to the armor profile, we can see that it is quite strong from the front, but from the sides, especially the sides of the turret, it is very weak. However, the tracks are quite large and do cover quite a bit of the side of the tank, so you can bounce a few shots while side scraping. You also must consider the turret ring around the tank becoming very flat when side scraping. The turret is quite strong, however, the cheeks, as I'll call them, are fairly thin, so even looking directly at an enemy, they have 300 millimeters of pen they're going to go through every time. If you are looking at a different enemy, that goes down to 200 mm. The turret roof is also quite weak at only 235 millimeters effective thickness, however, even at a slight gradient, you are looking at a ricochet angle. Moving over into the game, we can see that it does come equipped with the reticle calibration and improved engine power boost. However, I only use the improved engine power boost because the reticle calibration doesn't really factor into my playstyle on the tank. I much prefer to have the 2 repair kits. As far as provisions go, I like the 10% food bonus, the 6% HP bonus, and the large fuel. That will give you the best overall experience with the tank, in my opinion. Some may argue that the protective kit would be better. However, I don't believe that the 15 or 10% bonuses here factor in because I am using 2 repair kits. For equipment, I would recommend running calibrated shells, just because the vents don't provide quite enough bonus to make a difference, especially in a slow, heavy tank. With the good aim time, I would actually consider using supercharge, but again, that does not factor into my playstyle of the tank. I prefer to use the refined gun also on this tank because it is fairly slow. Alright, let's see what the gameplay looks like. Alright, this is my first mastery in the Emil, my only mastery as time of recording. It is Supremacy on Normandy. Very beautiful map, I might add. The developers definitely did a good job of this map, especially with all the effects and explosions going off. Very nice looking. Now, right off the bat, you can see my team is trending towards Delta Charlie, which is fine. However, the positions at the end of the game are a little bit less mobile from this position. I could say there's very few entries that are safe to get to the Bravo Alpha bases. Now, with their lineup, I would expect a heavy Bravo push. However, it seems like they're splitting evenly between Charlie and Bravo. Now, I cannot let them get Bravo, otherwise they will win on supremacy points very quickly. So, I'm going to put 1 shot in the Annihilator, 2nd shot in the Annihilator, and 3rd shot into the Panther. Now, the reason I did that is because while capping a base, each individual tank within the base gains capture points individually. To reset a base, you have to deplete those cap points by shooting them individually. Now, going in here, my angle was a little bit off, but I only take 1 shot penetrating from the Annihilator. Moving up a little bit, I'm going to put a couple of shots in the Panther, try and track him a couple of times, make sure he stays where he's at. Makes him miss a shot there, which is well worth the effort. Waiting on the reload here, we can see the Type 59 is getting a little adventurous in the corner. Something tells me he's not going to last very long there. Now this shot is iffy, and as you can see I didn't quite get it in. Now that is going to come back to bite me here later. You've got to be very stingent with your shells. While he's staring at the T-69, I'm going to get 2 shells into him and leave him on 21 hit points. That last shell would have saved me the aggravation of playing Ring Around the Rosie with a loaded annihilator for 30 seconds. Coming around the corner, we get faced by a T-95E2, which is very bad for me. I need to get this annihilator dead very quickly. Otherwise, I'll be in a 2 versus 1 for much too long. Now, coming back up here, I'm going to try and pressure this guy to stay back, get a couple of shots into him at the same time. Meanwhile, the team is going down across the map. Now, I'm going to tuck into this rock here. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to delay his reload. If he has a loaded gun, that is lost DPM on his part. Now, thankfully, the T-69 is there. He's putting some pressure on this guy, but it's not quite enough. I try and let auto-aim take care of that one, but as you can see, auto-aim kind of sucks, especially in close quarters. Now, moving up here, I'm going to feint right a little bit, try and get him to bounce a shot, and thankfully he does. I'm going to make a critical mistake here again, and I'm going to take a shot from this VK because I am not looking at the right position. I should have already had this shot off right about now. Now, coming up over, I'm going to try and get 2 shots in this STA. I damage his vision device. Very unfortunate, but sometimes RNG does screw you over a little bit like that. Now, with this T-69, he can one-shot me, theoretically. Now, what I did there was I feinted toward him, made it very hard for him to aim, and made him shoot my track. A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. Sometimes you need a little both to win these very tight matches. Now, for all intents and purposes, we're kind of even here. I've got a T-69 with a stock gun, which is practically a tier 7. And we've got an enemy T-29, which, if you know anything about that T-29, it is a fairly good tank, so I'd call us about even. Now, thankfully, this STA is not paying attention, coming up over the hill. Track him. Make sure he can't move. Make sure he can't maneuver against me. Now, I did signal that T-69 to move down there, and that is purely because I wanted him to die rather than me, because he is stock, and quite frankly, he's not a very good player. So I'm going to use his hit points to buy me time. So I need to get this T-29 taken care of, load the gold, get him out of there. STA-1 starts going forwards instead of backing towards me, so I clip reload. I can't one-shot this guy, so I'm going to play it safe. I have very little time left. As you can see at the top of the screen, they have 930 supremacy points. That is very bad for me. So I need to close the distance. I need to kill this guy quickly. Coming around the corner, you can see he's hiding behind a building, and there's one shot, and we're going to go for the ram, because at this point, I want to. I think I've earned it. With 5,400 damage done, mastery badge, and a grand total of 1,656 base XP, is not a bad haul at all. Now that T-69 managed to keep the enemy's attention off of me, and while he's not a very good player, he did exactly what he needed to do in that match to allow me to win. Anyways, folks, that was the Emil, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, you subscribe, and we'll see if we can keep getting these out. Have a good one, folks. Okay, so what do I think about the Emil overall? Well, Personally, I am a big fan of this tank. It's got a very strong turret. It is fairly mobile when you use the enhanced speed boost. And the gun is actually quite nice. What I don't like about it is the normal mobility. You actually have to situationally use that speed boost to do what you need it to do. In a tank like the AMX 5120, you don't necessarily have to do that. You have the speed all the time. So, in that aspect, I'm not a huge fan of having to manage your speed as well as your clip, as well as your armor. It can be entertaining. You know, you got a bunch of different things going on at the same time. You got to keep track of all of them. And that can make this a very high skill ceiling, but very low skill floor tank. A worse player will get caught out more often in a tank like this. Does it have its uses? Yes. I wouldn't quite say it's overpowered, just because the situational awareness needed to actually properly use the speed boost at the proper times, as well as manage the clip all at the same time. It takes some skill, yes, but it's nothing that gains you more of a benefit than you would from playing any other tank. Anyways, have a good one, folks.